Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by on this dull, miserable flipping day again. I went out to do my last bit of shopping this morning. You know, the fresh stuff, the vegetables, the stuff that you have to get close to the day. And the sun was shining then, and that was it. That glimpse. That was it. Then it's gone, and we've had rain, we've had heavy rain, we've had drizzle, and dull and grey. But the rumour is Christmas morning will be white. Unfortunately, it won't be white with snow, although that would mess a lot of people up. It's going to be white with frost, because we're going down to about -2, -3. Oh, that'll be fun. It doesn't affect me. I'm not exactly going anywhere, am I? I thought we'd have a quick last look round, effectively, before I shut down. Because I won't be doing videos again until Sunday. And that will be the normal Sunday chat, because I'll have finished with all this Christmas stuff by then. People will be back where they should be and all that sort of stuff, and I'll be back to normal life, as much as there is any normal life at the moment. But and probably from Sunday for the next, I don't know, week or so, I should be finishing up all the flipping leftover food. Doesn't matter how much you cut back, there's always loads left over. Even though you sort of sit in the chair thinking, I'm going to need a crane to get me out of here. Somebody will have to wheel me out on a trolley. Just eat too much, don't we? In my case, I probably drink too much as well. I was going to say instead of, but it's as well. You've got, I don't know, it's a gathering of people to enjoy food, time together. Bearing in mind we've had so little of that, and there will be some people at Christmas that can't even do that. They'll be just stuck where they are, not allowed to travel, can't join in other houses. It's just, you know, it's not going to be the best of times. But what we can do is look forward to better times, providing we survive. Therein lies the key. Don't do anything stupid that can jeopardise you making it till the end of January. I'm certainly not. Right, quick look round. The Tahitian dancer is fully open. There's not a bud left. And it has put on quite a show. It had 4 new growths, 1 spike per new growth. I'm happy with that. The fact that it's got Sotoanum in it, you might half expect there to be a double spike now and again, but we did have a bit of a root problem, you know, in as much as some roots dried out. But nonetheless, it's put on a good show. I don't know how long these blooms will last, but they're all open now, none left to go. And the fragrance on this is powerful. I would suggest the fragrance on this is more powerful than Sotoanum, one of the parents, or it's in its lineage. I wouldn't say it's a parent as such. Anyway, little things that please me. One of the new cattleyas up there was mounted, hoping that it was going to grow some roots soon. It's growing some roots soon. I like little things like that, even though it's not a spike or a bud. You know, it's nice new roots to grow and get down in the moss, and hopefully some attached to the mount. New growths on some of the, I mean, this is in fact a Miltonia, and its other half is up here. We've got a new growth here that hasn't matured properly because of the disturbance, but it's pushing out another one. Little things like that are pleasing. And this one's started growing some roots, so that's also good. This Latoria here has got spikes pushing. We've got one here, one down in there. I think that's it. I think there's only the 2, but 2's better than none, isn't it? And also there's other canes that are mature enough to bloom, so they may follow on. So we've got that. What else have we got? I think there's much up there. There's the 2 Noblies up there, which is, I forget what one of them's actually called. Sweet Pinky Momoko, I believe, and the other one's Prima Donna. They've both got buds on, early. Not supposed to have buds till, well, at least mid-January, so they are early this year. So that's good. I've managed to rearrange some plants and get my Renantheras back up here. Now that's my brightest light position. They have got some roots, so they're not, you know, they're not struggling. They're okay. The third one is struggling a bit, but it's coming on. It's one single root is growing on nicely. It's grown out of the pot, quite honestly. The Cymbidium buds are starting to show a bit of colour. I think they're still a way off blooming, but it's going to be a nice spike. Got nice even blooms all the way up. I didn't have a stake any longer than that, so the top bit may arch over, but I'll live with that. This Twinkle Red Fantasy, at the moment, this is where the fragrance is in here. This one, it's overriding that because of the dull light. This one seems to give off its fragrance even when there's good light. And it's not vanilla. It's vanilla with a hint of. I haven't made my mind up hint of what yet. But that's not even in its all its glory yet. It's probably less than half the blooms open. There are still many, many buds to come. So that's going to look good. I've got it down so that I can see it better. The Genmanii, I don't know how much longer these blooms are going to last. They're not long-lived anyway, and I did get a kink in the spike, which I've sort of managed to straighten up so that at least the blooms haven't been separated from the plant by the kink in the spike. The buds on the Cattleya up there are sort of looking good. But I can see already there's 2 blasted. That leaves 4. Should have been 6. But there's another load coming out there. So we've got more. That's on the same plant, those 2. And if you look right up there against the glass, there's a sheath. That's got buds in as well. There's 3 sets of buds coming on that plant. There are some other Cattleyas with some buds. Where was it? Oh yes, the BC Makei has got some buds, one of which should be open in a day or so. It's getting a bit swamped by this there. You can see there. So it's the only spike this year. 3 buds, one of which looks like it'll be open in a day or 2. So that'll have to come to the front so that we can see it. Blooms on the Makei last a very long time. So I'm just looking at something very odd here. One of these blooms is stuck in the roots of the Genmania. I don't know how that happened, I'm sure. This is down to its last bloom. I'm seriously thinking of taking the spike off because it's not an incredibly strong Tolumnia. That's its first blooming, and it could probably do with putting its energy into growth and roots now, because that spike's been on there a long time. And this is a branch, it's not the original spike, so I'll probably trim that in a minute. This Nearly Twinkle, because it's a twinkle crossed back with Soto Annum, it has slightly larger flowers than the other twinkles, which would seem okay if a twinkle with its normal sized blooms was crossed back with Soto Annum, which has larger blooms. You'd expect the blooms to be a bit larger. Nice fragrance again. This one is starting to go. There are a few blooms that have recently opened that will last for a while, but Cattleya cernua is on its way out. They don't last long. Typical, well, not typical Cattleya, but typical species Cattleya, which you tend to get between 3 and 6 weeks. And if you get them up a species that's up the 6-week end, you're doing pretty good, because most of them are down the 3-week end. The Tiny Twinkle up there has opened its first 2 blooms. Yay! Now those open a creamy colour, creamy yellow, but within a couple of days they'll be white. Very attractive little blooms, but very tiny. The Dendrobium spectabile is, no it's not, it's Dendrobium alexandrae. Always get those 2 muddled up, because the blooms are similar, quite honestly. Although these are crinkly and slightly alien-like, they're not a patch on spectabile. That really does look like it came from another planet. Unfortunately, the Dendrobium Victoria Regina is now starting to go. They go pink and then they drop. We've still got some blooms. I don't see any signs of any more bud clusters, but I was over the moon to get these, so we've got that. The Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium, still looking good, and those blooms have been out a long, long time. So still going strong. I was watering, was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday I did the lot. Everything in here that wasn't a mount. And when I got to do the Miltoniopsis, the lot that came from our 60th anniversary show that originated in the Eric Young Foundation are the larger ones at the back, except this one, which is, you can see it's a different colour. This is a hybrid that is not amongst those. It was bought separately. And all of those were still wet from their previous watering. That's good, isn't it? It saves me time, you know, because if one's still wet, they all are, because they're all in a similar situation. We've got the Wildcat Bobcat. These are still looking good. These need light on them because they're in a bit of a dark place at the moment, and they're a dark colour. So they almost hide in the shadows. So we need to get those out. But there isn't really anywhere else for them to go because it's a tall spike. Those. The buds on the one I bought back from Jeff's, they don't seem to be going to blast, so they may well open. I was worried that the whole spike would just blast because of the major disturbance, major change in environment, although quite honestly Jeff's greenhouse wasn't dramatically different to here. And then we've got the Cinnamon Twinkle, looking nice, all 3 spikes and all buds now fully opened, including a few blasted on the end there. Again, weak plant, it needs to grow on a bit, so I probably won't leave those spikes till their absolute end. As soon as they start to drop, I'll get the spikes off. That will push it back into growth mode again. Lovely fragrance on that. It's more chocolate than vanilla. Very, very nice. And I've got a Christmas present. My all-time favourite Cattleya bloom has opened for Christmas. Both blooms on, one on each spike, opened overnight, literally. They're not fully open yet, but Laelia anceps is back. Only 2 buds per spike this year. That's weak. I think I had 3, maybe 4 last year on one of the spikes. Anyway, I'd have to go back and look at the video. But just one of my favourite all-time Cattleya type blooms, Laelia anceps. And tucked in behind it, which is nice to see, the Dendrobium conico. I was going to say it's got a new cluster coming, but it's got this bud. Just one. But that's been out of bloom for a bit now. It's having a bit of a rest and should come back into bloom probably towards the end of the winter into spring. So there we go. The other thing is my Dendrobium glomeratum, look at it. That was so close to getting chucked out, especially as it's on a nice mount. That would cut in half. But look at the base. I'm sure it heard me. That definitely got threatened with being thrown out. You've grown nothing for years. You're hopeless, even though it did bloom. Can't remember whether it bloomed earlier this year or late last year. But we've got 3 nice new growths pushing up there. And that will start a new root system because the roots are awful on that. So it looks like it's going to hang in there, providing there's enough live roots in amongst there, or roots capable of hydrating the plant to keep those new growths growing. Those are the little things that please me. Plant that was almost binned has managed to save itself. And this, I had a good look at this when I watered this yesterday. It's got a lot of new growths. If they all, I would love to see all of these new growths bloom at the same time, but they won't because they're different. If you look at this little one on the left there, that's a new growth. And then the 2 up the top are a little bit older. There's another quite new one there. And then there's one down the bottom here that's almost got its full-size leaf. That was the first new growth. And then there's another one hiding under a leaf there. So, that's a good number of new growths there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new growths on there. So that will be 6 very delicate little bulbophyllum blooms to come. Pumilio, I think that one is. It was a gift and it was incorrectly named, which is always annoying. But when it bloomed, enough people came up with the same answer. And then I did a verification check of my own, which is a very, very close study of the blooms. and it was plenty close enough for me to agree that that was the species name, even though when you look at the species up on the internet, the blooms are quite variable. So, you know, you sort of think, oh, still not sure, but I am with that one. I'm okay with that. Right, so there we go, a look round. I'll get this Masdevallia out because I don't know how much longer that's going to last. Leaves are falling, but that bloom's looking nice, holding in there, just the one again. Those leaves off to the left hand side are a tiny little piece that just didn't get in the pot properly, and I don't think they're going to make it. But this side of the plant seems okay, just about. So that's doing okay down there. And my what if on Sunday was based on if I added 3 degrees to my temperature settings. So instead of setting the thermostat at 15 overnight, which goes down to 14, back up to 15, all that sort of stuff, and then daytimes I usually take it up to 19, which is 18 to 19, 18 to 19. If I had 3 degrees on, so that my overnight thermostat is set at 18, which would drop to 17, then back up to 18, and then again have an increase during the day of 3 to 4 degrees minimum. 4 would be good. If I did that, I counted up how many plants would go as a consequence of going up the warmer end of intermediate into the warm section. So the cool section would just have to go. And unfortunately, it's only 25 plants. If it had been 50, then next year that definitely would have been on. Come next winter time, those would have been my temperatures. And I still might do it. I'll make the decision during the season. But for this winter, everything's staying as it is. Tripped over the heater. And that's before I even had any wine. Okay. Finish on that, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and all that sort of stuff. I've still got some work to do. There's no decorations up yet, but I'm holding them because Hannah likes to help me put them up, and she'll be down for a very short stay. Let's put the mockers on that. Yeah, I've still got a little bit to do, but I've done all my shopping now. I've got some cooking to do first thing tomorrow. Got to make a loaf and cook some beef. And then we don't have turkey here because nobody's that keen on it. We have a nice juicy chicken instead. That will be cooked on Christmas Day. So we'll have the nice smell of roast chicken all round the house. So there we go then. And yeah, I'll see you all. Sunday is the estimated return for actual videos. I'll see you then. And take care and don't be silly. Just be safe. Let's let our orchid community all still be there next year, and nothing silly, nobody going missing or anything. We don't want any of that. Just enjoy yourselves as best you can under the circumstances. There'll be other Christmases. See you next time.